My name is Keith Swanson. I'm a 2022 recipient of the MnIAAA Hall of Fame Award. I was born in 1949 in Morris, Minnesota. I was raised on a farm southwest of Morris, farmed about 1,000 acres, and in the 50s and 60s that was a pretty good sized farm, and every spare minute we were playing something. Many barn windows were broke by flying baseballs, which was an automatic out. I attended a country school a mile away from the farm. We walked or rode a bike to school every day. High school was at Morris High School, graduating in 1967. I played football, basketball, baseball, and ran some track. I went to the University of Minnesota Morris, and I graduated in 1972 with a teaching license and a coaching certificate. It was at that time that I married my childhood sweetheart, Judy Ann Holmes, and we just celebrated 51 years of marriage, so I guess that was a pretty good deal. My first teaching assignment was in Springfield, Minnesota, coaching football, basketball, and baseball. In 1974, I moved to Hoffman, Minnesota, to teach and to be the head football coach. 4 years later, in 1978, we were fortunate enough to win the state nine-man football championship. In 1993, we paired athletically and academically with Kensington, a small town 7 miles south of Hoffman. We were fortunate enough to win the state again that year in football, and Kensington athletes played a huge part in that title. And for the number of years after that, we were very successful athletically, winning numerous conference, section, and subsection titles. In 1995, they came to me and asked if I would consider the activities director position. I accepted, resigning my golf coaching, and 2 years later, resigned my football coaching position. I was always very proud to be a Minnesota activities director. When I would go to national conferences, I couldn't believe how far ahead Minnesota was than other states. I think what it meant to me to be an athletic director and then an activities director, which of course, even though it sounds pretty similar, they were not similar. Activities director is in charge of all activities at the school, but I really enjoyed being in charge. My wife will agree to that. I enjoyed the coaches, the camaraderie that we always had with our coaches and the kids. I think a lot of coaches can attest to this, and athletic directors, that years after you're done, you still have your student athletes come up and call you by your last name, Mr. Swanson, Coach Swanson. And that always gave me a good feeling. I think that maybe we did the right thing and we helped those young men and women become very successful. Being an athletic director or an activities director is a family affair. And if you don't have a family that is going to be 100% supportive of your new position, you better really think about that. I know one of the first people that I would thank would be my wife. And I mentioned 51 years. She basically was standing beside me year after year on the basketball court and the football field, watching all the activities too. But I think she also saw how much I loved what I was doing. I've been always a firm believer in the MnIAAA with all the advice and help that they've offered to me through the years as activities director, and learned an awful lot from those highlight sessions from older ADs, retired ADs who had been through the battle, and it made my life a lot easier. So I think it's a big, big part of being an activities director. When you talk about thanking people for this award, it's really hard to do. I mentioned my wife already. I also want to thank Mom and Dad. My mom and dad were great supporters of all athletics. Most athletic directors would say, or most coaches would say, that it's great to coach your own kids. I know that's kind of a catch-22 because you still want them to be good athletes, and then of course got to watch them in college. Also through the years, I had great assistant coaches and head coaches of other sports that I supervised. Ed Leffler, Randy Walters, Jim Rocco, Steve Walker, John Kreft, Craig Hunter, Mike Frisch, Harold Nelson, John Van Kampen, Pat Anderson, Being a young AD, I needed the help of some older ADs in West Central Minnesota, and I had some great mentors up there. Chuck Everett, Mike McCarney, John Schumacher, Gary Schuler, Bill Mills, Mary Holmberg in Morris, Lynette Johnson from Wheaton, Margot Shebeck from Underwood, Craig Anderson, DGL. I mean, all these guys helped me become a better athletic director, and I want to thank them all immensely. I also want to thank Byron Olson, and I suspect he had a little bit more to do with this award than he will admit. And lastly, I want to thank the MnIAAA committee for giving me this honor. You know, anytime you receive an honor for something that you loved to do, it reminds me of the saying, find something you love to do and you'll never work a day in your life. And that's exactly what I did. I became a Minnesota High School Activities Director. Thank you.